y'all, so we just want to do a quick makeup tutorial for you. If you like this look or want to know how I did my eyebrows or eyeliner, just keep watching. I'm going to show you step by step pretty much how I get my eyebrows, my eyeshadow, and eyeliner exactly how they look now. So if you want to learn how to do that, just keep on watching, and you can also fast forward if you just want to know how to do little bits and parts of it. So I hope you watch all the way to the end and see you there. Alright guys, let's go ahead and start. So for my eyebrows, I go into my Tarte Tartless Pro palette and use their shade Smoked. It's right here at the very top, brown. It's the darkest brown they have in here that's not black. And I go in with my Morphe 158 brush. It's just the dual end eyebrow brush, you know, with the tip for the eyebrows and of course a spoolie. So when I do this, I of course spool out my eyebrows to make sure they are in the shape I kind of want them in. And of course dip it in that color. Shake it off a little bit because you don't want like it to fall out onto your eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. You do the bottom first and go all the way down. So it kind of looks like a big line. Then you do the top. But you don't go, I don't go the very front because that's just easier to smoke out later. So then you do the top with your arch that you want. And just fill it in. And then I go in with my e.l.f. dual eyebrow brush as well because it's a little bit thicker than the Morphe. Again, same color, and just spread that on the very front of it. And it's not as concentrated because it is a thicker end of the brush than the Morphe one. And then I go in with the spoolie on this one and kind of feather it back, but also I keep going up so that it doesn't look like I block out my eyebrows. I go all the way through. Because you always darken the very end, but I always go in and lighten it up so it's not, again, looks like I've blocked out my eyebrows. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other one real quick. Again, just doing the bottom line first so you get the shape pretty much of what you want. And I do my eyebrows a little bit bigger than what I do what I do wear them as, because I will of course use concealer and cut them out to exactly how I want it. But it's just easier going a little bit bigger because if you make a mistake, it's easier to go small than it is to go back and redo it after. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, don't go all the way here to the very end, because then if you do that, it looks very blocky and it's harder to smoke out to make it look more natural. So you just go about 3/4 of the way back and do your arch that you want, of course down to the tail, and just fill it in. And honestly, eyebrows aren't supposed to be twins, they're supposed to be sisters. So you're good if they don't look the same at first. So go ahead and fill that in, of course. And I usually keep the very end, of course, of where I start this back super dark, because of course that's where I want the huge definition of the eyebrow to go, and that's where my shape comes from. So I always want to make sure that that always stays super dark. And of course I go in and smoke it out again more so it looks more natural, even though you can tell that I don't really ever have natural brows because I color them all in all the time, because as you saw in the beginning, I have maybe a few hairs. You can see I have eyebrows, but they aren't like very defined, and I want defined eyebrows. So that's just what you do here. Again, just gonna put a little bit, go in with the other spoolie end and smoke it out. all the way to the end. And that is that part. So then I go in, because I use two different concealers when it comes to my face. They're both the same brand, they're both Morphe, but for my under eyes and highlighting I use the 2.25, but for when it comes to my eyebrows I use the 315. So on my Morphe R42 brush, it's a little dome brush, I will use this to help cut out my eyebrows. So what I do for this part is I literally just open up my concealer. I don't wipe anything off of the dome end of it and just put it on directly on under my eyebrow. With just enough room that it doesn't actually touch the eyebrow, so you can slowly start going up and do exactly what shape you want. And then I use whatever I have left under, of course, to slowly start going up top and doing the same thing. You kind of just keep going back and forth from the top and the bottom to exactly how you want it. The good thing is that your eyebrows are honestly very forgiving when it comes to the shape of it. And that's why I honestly just put straight concealer on the bottom of, like, right under it on my eyelid, so that whenever I do go back for a mistake, like I don't like this right here, I just feel like it looks too flat. When I go back to a mistake, see, like right there, I don't like how that looks too flat. I want a little bit more of an arch. I can go back, of course, with powder, or I also use pomade sometimes, but go back into it and put more on there and get to the shape that I actually want it to be. And it does look darker, of course, at first, but I do shade it in again once I get to the shape I do want it to be exactly what it is. So get to that spot where I go back and of course use my dome brush. Go ahead and cut it one more time because I like the tail end of my eyebrow to be really sharp, honestly. And you honestly just keep going back and forth until you get to exactly how you want it. There we go. So pretty much like that. So then you get a wet sponge, a little makeup blender. You can tell I've used this a ton. This is actually just for my eyebrows. I have another one for my face. And I go in and just kind of go under to blend it down and go up top to blend it up so that I can actually see the shape of my eyebrow. And once I like that, I go ahead to the other one and I try to match it so it looks almost exactly the same. But again, guys, honestly, your eyebrows are supposed to be sisters, not twins. So let's go ahead and do that one. Again, with my Morphe 3.15, I go right under. And then my Morphe brush, my R42, do that again, right? Slowly keep going up and start cutting it out. don't know if y'all I could tell, but that just did not, it was too flat and just went down. So I went back and added a little bit more on top, and I'm taking more down on the bottom and giving it more of an arch, so that when I go back up here, I can just follow the same shape from down there and give it about the same feel as this one. Of course, they will never, honestly, well, it's 1 in a million shot that I will have them exactly the same. There's always something I like from one than I do from the other. Sometimes I love this arch, sometimes I love the tail end of this. Sometimes I like the beginning of this one, but I don't like any of this one. So you just honestly practice, practice, practice when it comes to it. You get to a point where you're okay with both of them. And again, once you're done with what you think looks good with the concealer, you go back and blend down with your makeup brush. And then I blend up on the very top. And then I will go in again with the spoolie end and kind of feather out the very beginning so that they look a little bit more natural and not so blocky and thick. If I don't like how this looks super tiny compared to this one, again, just go back in with a little bit and just, when it comes to the front, barely touch your skin with it and just kind of feather it up on line. So you can go back with the spoolie and just blend that out. And then I go in with my thicker brush, with my thicker ended brush. And again, just put more color on that, but lightly. Don't ever press down, just super light, barely even touching, so that it gets that color but doesn't deposit a ton and still gives you that little bit of a natural look in the beginning, because 9 out of 10 this is probably not going to look super natural, because again, I like mine super defined at the very end but more like ombre throughout. So I'm gonna go ahead and do here. And then I like to grab my sponge again and just go down the middle. If I have any foundation, some concealer or whatever left on it, I try to do that so it looks like I have done it to where it's fine. But yeah, just go back and forth to where you like it. If you like how it is, that's it. That's all the eyebrows you need to do. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my face real quick and I'll be right back. Alrighty y'all, so I wanted to come back and show you how I do my concealer for my underbags and my highlighting, because at times this is where I also mess up my eyebrows when I do this part. Excuse the discoloration here, I'm gonna fix it in a bit. So I do go down the middle of my nose to highlight that because I don't like the size of it. Honestly, I think it's too big, but it is what it is. We're gonna work with it. I do that. So I go from the middle of my nose and I actually squeeze it to where it's very thin. Actually, I think it's very thin, and do it that way. And I do pull it up a bit when it comes to right in the middle of my eyebrows. I barely tap and then pull up and go around. This is where most of the time I do mess up my eyebrows, where I cut half of this off or half of that off and I just go in and fix it. But that's where I do that. Again, it's just, you squeeze till you get as thin as you can when it comes to a sponge. And barely tap. Don't ever drag, just tap it. And tap up. So that there is very minimal eyebrow mess upage. I do it a little bit on the Cupid's bow too. But that goes all the way around. Again, when it comes on top of the eye, I know I put some with the same color as my skin, so I wanted to highlight it still. Go around, and I do go into my eye too a little bit. And again, go around, barely tap when I go to the very top where my eyelid goes up, of course, to my eyebrow, and barely tap out. Because again, that's where I also mess it up. I always mess it up when I put my concealer to highlight everything. And if you do, don't worry about it. Again, you can always go back. Eyebrows are very forgiving when it comes to that, especially when you use powder or pomade, because it's just super easy to go back in and fix it. And again, just keep cutting it out with the concealer. Again, just kind of put that out right here. Barely tap up top, very slowly, so that you go ahead and get that part of it. And I do actually powder my entire face to set everything, because I think it's just a lot easier once it all is set down. And again, your eyebrows can look super dark, of course, when you put color on top of it. So I just get some translucent powder. Of course, start with my under eye bags first, because I want to hide those as much as possible. I go into my eye, and I go exactly where I just put that highlighting, and I'm on my chin because my chin's very oily, but where I put that highlighting concealer, so I do that. And then with barely anything on my brush, I do go a little bit on my eyebrows, so that honestly I set it down, because I do have a bit of more oily skin than I do normal or dry. So I personally like to set my eyebrows so that throughout the day, if I do go and pat my face around because I see a little bit of oil, I don't take off my entire eyebrow. So I do like to set those. And of course I will use brow mascara at the very end to go ahead, and of course what I said, of course those eyebrow hairs will catch on to the powder, because the color of the eyebrow powder we used, or eyeshadow honestly, goes on your skin more than anything. So once you set, that powder of this translucent powder will stay on your eyebrow hairs more than that eyeshadow powder. So I will go at the very end and use an eyebrow mascara that is colored and tinted, so that it gives that color back into it, but without being so dark and deep to mess up the color and shape of your eyebrow you just did. So let me go ahead and finish everything, and I'll be right back. Alrighty guys, so I did my contour and setting off camera. I'm gonna show you a super easy, super cute, simple eyeshadow look that I like to do, that is like very neutral, very subtle, something just everyday honestly you could do. It only uses 3 colors, which is amazing. Sorry about that nail. 3 colors, so it's amazing. So again, I'm gonna dip into my Tartless Pro palette and get started with that. So at first I use a very dense brush. Sorry about that powder. I actually did this eye the other day. It's a Morphe R35, and I get into the color, of course, Whimsy. Yep, Whimsy, that's what it's called. I thought it was weird, but yeah, it's called Whimsy. It's this like kind of rusted burnt orange, and I go just very lightly. Of course I already powdered it off a bit, so it's not super dark, but I go on the very outskirts of my eye, very softly, and just keep going back and forth until I get it mostly very soft to the look. A lot of just back and forth. I go into a V because I like the way it makes my eyes look like longer, so I like to elongate my eyes honestly. So that's why if you come in and see me most of the time, you'll see me with like, of course, cat eyes, because I like to elongate my eyes because I feel like sometimes they're too big. So I like to slim them down and then elongate them. So that's why if you see me in any pictures, all my eyeshadow always comes out into like a big out V-like shape. And that's honestly how I also get my eyeliner to look, so I can elongate my eyes a little bit more. So again, just barely put it on there and go back and forth until you get a very subtle like touch to it. And what you want, you can have this, the inner side deepened, sorry, a bit. This could be really deep, and you just want, what you want it to be smoky is the outside, the very outside right here. So that's why you keep going back and forth and you barely touch the very top. And you can keep this darker. If you go in a little bit more in your eye, you can keep that darker and that'd be fine. It's just the very top you want to keep very light and smoky. So you want to keep that like that, and the very outside too, you want it a little bit smoky. This can be a little bit darker because that's where your eyeliner is going to sit. But again, just very smoky right there and there. So after I use that, then again, I use another like big fluffy brush. This is Morphe's RG24 brush, RG24. And I get Edgy, which is this color right here. I mix that honestly with Bold, that's right next to it, the very light brown. Go back and forth on those two, tap it off, and go in and just deepen that a bit. This is more of like, you're trying to get this more of a natural look than it is anything bold. So again, just barely on there and just keep going back and forth like that. You honestly just want to keep it very much on the end. This outer V part of your eye is where you want to keep it mostly in. And you can go in and go a little bit over, but not too much. You just want enough to go in the inner part of your eye as well. So just darken your crease a bit. And then after that, then I grab, honestly it's an e.l.f. concealer brush that I use as, because it has that big domed flat end of it. I like to use that as an actual, like, to pack my eye with the color Chic, which is like a, sorry about the glare, but it's a very light champagne-y pink color, and I use that and I just go and almost like you're gonna do a cut crease with it, which you just go in from the corner and go up a bit and just half of, like, not even half, a little bit more than half of your eye with that color. Go, and then you kind of pull it down a bit and just pack it on there. And if you go out like that, that's fine. You can always go back and fluff that out. You want to keep this mostly on the front and just give your eye just a bit of color to where it doesn't look like you have all that mess. So this kind of breaks everything up, gives it more of that natural look when it comes to it. This is one of my favorite palettes, the Tarte Tartless Pro palette, because it has mostly all natural colors and it's very universal. You can use it for either like date night looks or just everyday looks as well. So once I get that, I go back and actually I just use the same brush. I don't even dip it in anything. And just kind of smoke that out a bit, go a little bit above, and again, smoke out a little bit above. I don't put any color on it, just so I can fluff that out. And again, also with the other brush that you use for that like burnt orange color, again, just a little bit. Don't put any more color on it, just use it to fluff it out. And that is it for that. So I put, of course, always put eyeliner on because it's just what I do. I'm known for my eyebrows and my eyeliner. So I use e.l.f. Jet Black. Honestly, I love this eyeliner. It's their liquid eyeliner. It's my favorite eyeliner of all times. I love this eyeliner. So just a quick little tutorial on that. What I do is give me one moment. There we go. go in and take honestly most of the product off on the edge of the container, of the top honestly, and I go in, I go in and always have a mirror looking down because I feel like it's easier to see the shape of your eye whenever you do this looking down than it is to look straight. So looking down, I go in not all the way in my inner corner, but just enough to go around and do my lash line. And then from that edge, I just go on the very top, barely get any product, honestly. So, because these things last forever if you do it that way. Then go the outer corner, slowly start getting that wing that you want. And once you get that bottom line, run the corner, go down. I know it's a lot easier said than done. Again, it's a lot of practice when it comes to this too. But because honestly, I started out where my eyeliner was literally half my eye. So you just keep going. And I like to look even further down to make sure it looks like it connects all the way through. And then once I do that, I do go back in and go actually all the way into my inner corner. And go up. Now I do really concentrate on this part because there's been times where I mess it up and there actually goes into my eye, but it's fine because then you just put a little bit of highlighter and you're good. I like to keep my eye actually pretty big and fan it down when it comes to that part because this is where it can mess up a bit. But again, you don't have to go all the way in. This is just what I do. I do this all the time because I feel like it makes my eyes, again, look a lot longer if I go all the way in and have that wing out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the other side. And again, like I said about the eyebrows, eyeliner can look like sisters, don't have to be twins. Twins would be best, but it's fine. It's a lot of practice still. I don't even have it to where my eyeliner honestly looks like twins. There's always something I like about the other one. One's always better than the other, of course. Eyeliner, at least. Of course, again, just making sure it all connects little by little. Especially when it comes to these small eyeliner wings, you always want to go little by little. You never really want to rush because if you do, that's where most mistakes come from. It's when you rush and try to just go do it really quickly because you need to get in and out. But again, the more you practice this, the better you'll get. And then you can honestly be like me, coming into work and 5 minutes before I get here, at every stoplight, 30 seconds, put on it. Okay, next 30 seconds, do it again. And it's just easier because some days I just don't have enough time for when I wake up because I like to stay in bed for like 30 minutes, honestly, till when I get here. I'm supposed to get here. I just do it in the car real quick. But I've been doing this for a while. So again, it's just practice makes perfect. And little by little. Don't ever rush when it comes to it because I've also rushed and I've gotten it where my entire eye goes black and I'm like, great, fantastic. Looks like I'm getting a black eye today. But again, little by little and slow. that's how you do that. So you then, of course, look at your eyeliner and look at both of them together, and you can always fix what you do and don't like. But again, not a lot of color on the actual brush of this, because it can mess everything up once you get to where you want it to be. I just honestly fix my wings a bit so they look a little more symmetrical. Because one is always a little bit bigger than the other, but it's fine. So then after that, the reason I keep where I'm baking under is because I go back and wipe it off. So any mistakes, fallout, anything that comes in from the eyeshadow, you literally grab a big fluffy brush like this. This is Morphe's E41, and go and fluff it out. So then once you do that, you won't have any regrets, because usually fallout sits here, and then once you like have it sit for a while, then it starts getting into your under eye bags and everything, and it makes it look as if you bruised up or didn't do any concealer. So that just helps also set everything in place with that. And if you want to have a little bit more smoky and just look a little bit more glamorous with this eye, all you have to do is go back and with the big fluffy brush that you use for whimsy, do that and go back to edgy. Just put those two together, tap it out, and then what I do, I push down on the brush to where it's flat and go right under the lash line just a bit on both sides so that it also connects it all together and looks like one eye look, so it doesn't look like. So if you do have fallout, it's easy to fix. You just do that little trick and go back and forth, and it will make it seem as if you meant to do that mistake and it went into the eye as if it was supposed to go with the eyeshadow. So like that. So that gives it just a little bit more of a smokier look too, but also makes it a little bit more glamorous than just the very top. And of course you just put your mascara on and your lip. And I'm gonna go ahead and set, because I like to set my face before I do my lip and my mascara. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. And it's in an Urban Decay All Nighter bottle, but I actually use Bid 9 Final Seal, I think is what it's called. Because it just is honestly the best setting spray, because it is like cement on your face, and I love it. So if you're ever going out on a day out, you need to wear makeup all day, just put that on. It's pretty much setting. So whenever I'm at work and people are like, how come your makeup stayed all day? Trust me, it's the Bin 9 Final Seal setting spray, and it just, everything stays in place. So and I actually put honestly a ton on because I want it to stay forever. And I do recommend to fan your face before you open up your eyes, because it's so strong that it does honestly burn if you do open up your eyes too early. And I know that sounds scary, and it is honestly, it can be the very first few times. But again, if you just fan your face for like a good 30 seconds and you can tell when it starts drying, you'll feel like your face isn't wet anymore, then you know for sure that it is not gonna burn your eyes. And also, I don't put a highlighter until I'm done setting, because I think it looks so much prettier when your setting spray is still trying to set and you put it just on, and it actually pops out to me more than if it was under that setting spray. I have to put it on the very tops of my cheeks and actually go around my eyebrow just to give that bit of my face it. There. And one thing I also like to do sometimes at the end of this, when I have this almost completely done, I go back in with some bronzer. Yes, I know that sounds funny and weird. Why didn't I do the bronzer first? Because if I do it to where I put too much highlighter on, then it just looks like my bronzer was supposed to have that little bit of shimmer. Go back in, and I do protect my hair because it's so light, so I do put my hand on there. So if I put way too much highlighter up on the temple area, then I put bronzer on so that it looks like it's supposed to be a shimmery bronzer, but not too much shimmer because I use the matte bronzers, and I just like to go back and add a little color wherever I need it to be. I do that, and then honestly with my highlighter, I don't only just put it on my cheeks, I actually like to grab a bit and put on my cupid bow. Put it with one finger and then kind of spread it out with another on the tip of my nose, down the bridge. Again, with one finger I put it on with, and the other kind of blend it out. And then I'll be back with a lip, and I'll be right back. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. I just put on Jeffree Star's liquid lip and Dominatrix and some mascara on, just a little bit, just to give it a little something. And I do put some on my lower lashes, not a ton, just enough to give my eyes a bigger pop, honestly, too. Make them look big, but also long. If you like videos like this, give this video a thumbs up. And if you have any ideas for any other videos, just put it on the comments down below. We'll be more than happy to look at those comments and maybe come back with a more in-depth like eyeliner look, like tutorial, a smoky eye, if you want more of like a wild eyeshadow look, anything really, just put it in comments down below. We'll be looking at those and hopefully do more looks like this, more videos like this, and give you as much as you guys want. Just, of course, give this video a like, follow our channel, and we will see y'all later. Bye.